Hello friends, are you ready? Let's begin. In 2007, Google launched a new service called Google Street View, which is available on Google Maps and is called virtual roaming in Arabic, standing exactly. This feature in Google Maps was credited with uncovering the 6 gas and police cases that could not be solved. In this episode, I will present to you these puzzles, but before we start our episode, if you like strange, dark and mysterious stories and information, please subscribe to our pages on all notifications to receive new videos first and last from the download. This is my Snapchat, guys. If you want to add me on your Snapchat, let's start our episode. Laughter. Music. 2020. I am 83 years old. A woman named Linda Yucks, a mother of 4 children, suddenly disappeared in mysterious circumstances from her home in the Andes region of Belgium. The missing, but this was not the first time that Bolty disappeared because she suffered from Alzheimer's disease and often left the house at random times, day and night, without telling her husband where she was going, and she was not even able to recognize her children. Every time her husband disappeared, she was found a step away from the house and entered it again, but this time it had no effect during the search. Despite all these search efforts, they did not find any evidence to help them find her, and the family thought that she might have fallen into the Maas River near their home. But in October 2022, when the police were reviewing their files, old unsolved cases, they were about to close the file and would not reopen it unless a new case appeared. The investigators were examining this woman's house via Google Street View, and by chance they saw a picture of her leaving her house, crossing the street and heading towards the neighbor's house. Very close to the neighbor's garden, when they did an autopsy, they discovered that she had fallen from an open part of the garden. There were no pictures, and she died shortly after the fall. Her last moment in the picture was living through a Google Street View car. What is still unclear is how the police could not see her even though they used drones and helicopters in the first search. But at least her family finally knew what happened to her, even if the answer is terrifying. The last picture in which she appeared alive. If you enter this place now on Google Maps, you will find that the picture in July 2011, 2 armed men broke into the home of his friends who were outside the house in the quiet suburbs of Oklahoma City. The house was full of valuables and there was no one inside the house. Fortunately for them, the robbery did not end as expected. A few minutes later, the owner of the house returned and entered them, and they were robbing her house instead of running away with the things they had already stolen. She was terrified and thought they would shoot them before they left. Fortunately, the thieves finally left the house without causing any physical harm to the woman after the robbery. The case went cold and the woman lost hope of ever catching these criminals. But 3 years later, an unexpected development occurred as her neighbor was monitoring their street via Google Street View. About the criminals, they immediately sent a message to the woman whose house was robbed, which confirmed that the men in the photo taken by Google's car while filming the neighborhood on the day of the robbery were the same 2 people who robbed her from the direction of their house. The image quality is poor, and also because of Google's software that causes disturbance on the faces of the people in the pictures, the police still can't track them down, but with a series of clues and a new image added to the search for the police, they have a better chance of catching them, thanks to Google Maps. Music. On November 14, 2005, a man, David Lane, 72, decided to meet a friend at a bar called Jake's Pub in Byron, Michigan. This bar was a place David went to a lot and usually stayed there for at least 2 hours. The man said that he had cancer, and after a short conversation with his friend at the bar, he decided to walk away suddenly and told him that he was suffering from severe pain due to the disease. This was the last time anyone saw David, and then he disappeared. When his family tried to contact him and they couldn't reach him, they reported him missing to the police. They didn't reach any conclusion because the police couldn't find any evidence of his whereabouts. In 2011, 5 years after his disappearance, His family lost hope and accepted the idea that David was gone forever. Time and place. The case went completely cold until 10 years later something new happened that shed light on the disappearance of David Brian Houseman, an employee of a funeral home in Byron County, who was decorating a Christmas tree outside the company in the pond next to the company that he saw looked like a car submerged under the water. They immediately called the police to report it, and when they used Google Maps from a high angle they saw the same shape that Brian described. The dive team was sent to the location and confirmed that there was indeed a car at the bottom of the pond. That same morning, a winch pulled the car out of the water for police to examine. Inside the car, the police found the remains of the man's skeleton and found a wallet containing an ID card in the name of David Lee Niles. David is known to suffer from bouts of depression, and his psychological state certainly worsened after he learned that he was sick. Given all this, there is a possibility that he chose to end his life, but we may never know the truth required. The Italian was working within a heavy mafia network in the Agrigento area, and this network was involved in a dispute with the main mafia network in Coser El Cala. He was first arrested in 1994 on charges of murder and other mafia-related crimes, but was released from prison after a while. In 1988, he was arrested again in Barcelona, Spain, but this time he was sentenced to life in prison and was deported to Italy after spending 4 years in prison in Madrid, Spain, and changed his name to Manuel Morman. During the 20 years he escaped the police, got married, worked as a chef in a restaurant called Manu Kitchen, and also opened a fruit and vegetable store called Manu Garden. They didn't do much investigating, and the police suspected that he was hiding in Spain, but the way they knew where he was very strange. One of the men looked a lot like Joko Camino. Of course his face was hidden in the Google image of the program, but to make sure the police got access to the menu or the food price of Manu Kitchen, the restaurant where Joko Camino worked. Joko Camino dressed as a chef on the incident's Facebook page after they confirmed his whereabouts. Police arrested him on December 17, 2022 and took him to the water source. He is currently serving a life sentence. He had the audacity to ask them how he was found and did not even speak to his family for 10 years. In 2009, the Zurich police in Switzerland were working on a major investigation to shut down illegal purple farming operations across the country. The country used Google to identify 2 farmers. They are suspected of being part of an illegal marijuana cultivation network. While an investigator was scanning the area with Google Earth, he noticed something strange. Using the image, the app discovered a marijuana farm hidden inside a cornfield measuring more than 2 acres. The discovery eventually led to the arrest of 16 people and the seizure of 1 tons of purple pain. They also found 900,000 Swiss francs in cash, equivalent to about $1,100,000. According to the police report, the network was selling about 7 tons of marijuana between 2004 and 2008, which was making them an annual profit of 10 million Swiss francs. When asked about this, the head of the Zurich Police's anti-narcotics unit, Norbert Glosser, responded to the discovery, saying that this was an exciting discovery that happened by chance. Since then, the entire farm has been moved because marijuana is still illegal in Switzerland. Not like other countries in Europe. Derbyshire in England. David and Rebecca were living with their 2 children Lauren and Robin. In 2009 the family decided to buy a caravan to travel around the country, but unfortunately the caravan was destroyed after a short period when a reckless person hit it while driving his car. Quickly after a few months they bought a new caravan for $155,000 to compensate for what they lost and parked it in front of their house in the entrance. In June of the same year, Rebecca returned home one day and was surprised that the caravan had disappeared. Immediately she informed the police, but the police did not have any strong evidence to help them in the investigation, and the matter was quickly closed. The mystery was not revealed until 9 months later in March 2010, when their 11-year-old son Robin was browsing their house on Google Maps while using the virtual Street View service. He noticed a picture of a man standing in front of the house next to a four-wheel drive. The Shroud, meanwhile, neighbor from the area, said he saw this man pulling the caravan on the day of the theft, but he thought he was a family friend and didn't feel it was important to report him clearly about the incident. They didn't imagine because the police didn't do so. I couldn't get a clear picture of the license plate numbers of the car the thief was driving. Although the police knew what the thief looked like, they didn't publicly confirm whether they found him or not. That's all. If you like this video, I will do it by liking and sharing it on all social media accounts and from here so that I can be ready for you with new information and stories. Next time, I will see you all well and say goodbye.